Hi.
Welcome to our new episode of What We Saw This Week. I'm Jay.
M.
Yes. And we're here in Melbourne. We're on location. We're not in the haunted mansion for once because we got sick of it. And I think everyone got pretty sick of me playing with my nose because of all the dust. So fuck that.
You're just a dirty nose picker.
Now, should I tell one of my stories? I saw a couple of things this week that were pretty fantastic. One was I was at the shopping centre and I was standing in line at the express checkout. There's a big line, and there was this guy up in the counter ahead of me. So I was next in the line, and there was sort of some kind of commotion or something going on where this guy was sort of like, this poor guy behind the counter didn't really know what to do. So he called over his officious manager, and the manager comes over and's just like, well, I mean, and sort of indicates down to the guy, and then he finally just sort of says, I couldn't really hear what was happening, but then finally the guy is there, and he's got all this shopping there, and he just sort of sheepishly goes and reaches into his jeans and pulls out like a Big M. Like, yeah, there's a Big M stashed in his jeans, like the large varieties, the 650 mils.
Oh no.
And the manager's just like, well, I mean, is that it? The guy's like, no. And then he goes, reaches into his pants again, and he pulls out a Farmers Union iced coffee, like a big Prima. So he said, but these are all his shopping there. Like, he's paying for all this stuff, and yet he's like smuggling these different varieties of iced coffee. So anyway, the manager was like, did you buy? And then he just sort of said, listen, don't come back, please don't come back. And the guy didn't even get any of his shopping. But anyway, that was fairly amusing.
Oh my god. So, I mean, what's your theory on that?
I think, to me, it kind of looked like the thing of someone who actually is a bit of a klepto, like...
Yeah.
That's the right one, is it? Kleptomania?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good. I thought it was the sex one.
Or maybe
the
he
dead
was a
sex.
spy.
No, this guy wasn't. He was just some dude. But it was things, he was going to buy all of this stuff, but he wanted to get his couple of iced coffees for free. It seemed very bizarre. It wasn't alcohol, and he just was...
Maybe
just
he
wanted
was
to steal.
embarrassed. Maybe he thought that drinking iced coffee was just not manly.
Yeah, because he was going for the low-fat ones.
Yeah.
So I've been watching, and I haven't been watching it. I watched it once, and I couldn't watch it again, which is pelican eating duck. And I think it's actually pelican eating pigeon, but they call it a duck. And it is pretty horrible. And that's the tame one that was kind of on the news channels and stuff. But then you see that the guys actually uploaded the extended version, all of the footage, and it's horrible. Like that duck really puts up a big fight.
It's one of the most screwed up things I've ever seen.
It does.
But I could not take my eyes away.
Sorry, I'm just going to lose the sleazy sunglasses.
No,
what about you?
Well, I've been watching something called How Dirty Is Your Mind, or something along those lines. And basically it's a guy who draws these pictures, and he starts off, and it's all in sort of fast time forward camera film.
Sped up.
Sped up. That's what I mean. And he starts off with like a big knob. Or like a cock and balls kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, what? Why am I watching this thing of a guy drawing big cocks and balls? Ultimately, quite well drawn cocks and balls.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. But anyway, he sort of keeps drawing, and they turn into like a bunny, and you can't even see where the cock and balls were. It's amazing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our shortest ever episode or segment. All right, so I've got one more public transport story. This happened to me on Saturday night, and I was on a train. I was coming home on the last train, actually. And I was sitting there, and I had my headphones in, and I was checking out this girl that was opposite me. And just, trying to think, she was sitting on her own, and I was thinking, yeah. Anyway, and just as I was sort of, doing this guy, I had these two guys next to me, and they were probably my age, maybe a little younger, and they kind of looked almost slightly punk, or maybe it was kind of like emo / grunge / I don't really know, but sort of black. There were a few zips and whatever, but they seemed alright. They seemed kind of young, and they were both drunk, of course. And one of them turned to me and said, "So what's your thoughts on unrequited love?" Sorry, what?
To you?
Yeah, just said it to me. And I said, what? And he was like, what are your thoughts on unrequited love? And I sort of took my headphones out. I went, I don't know. He's like, don't you think it's the worst feeling ever? Don't you just think it's the most horrible emotion? And I sort of said, well, yeah. I said, to be honest, I kind of had a long period of my life where I was sort of in these sort of continuous unrequited love situation. I was like, yeah, that I actually can identify with that. And then he started telling me, I mean, I don't remember him and his friend name, and I apologise, that it would have been a lot better if I did remember who they were. But he started telling me about this jazz singer that he liked. So Laura, if you're listening, fuck you. But she was she was like totally in love with her, and they went out for a month and dumped him, and obviously he's still caught up about it. And his poor friend seems kind of to be a bit bored of listening to it, to the point where he obviously listened to it so much that now his friend's just telling random guys he's sitting next to on the train.
Aww.
But it was kind of a nice thing. It was a really nice conversation, because then I said, well, that's kind of funny, because I have a story about a jazz singer, and you know this one. This is years ago. I went out with this girl, and she was a jazz singer, and I'm not going to say her name, but she's got quite successful, actually. And we went on 3 dates, right? And on the 3rd date, we were at a gig, and it was really great, and it was going awesome. And I went up to get her some drinks. When I came back with our drinks, she was pashing a guy, like literally pashing on with this guy. And at this gig were a few friends, people I knew, and one of these friends of mine, she said to me, "Didn't you arrive here with her?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." Anyway, so I ended up sitting with my friends watching the rest of this gig, and then at the end of that set, she kind of comes over to me and sort of goes, yeah, I probably should have introduced you to James. I'll introduce you guys when he gets back from the toilet." And I was like, "You probably don't have to." And it was this really weird thing. And then, yeah, my friends left, and I left with them, and I've never spoken to her since. And I remember telling you that story, this is years ago, do you remember?
Yeah,
and I remember
I
you
do.
kind of doing exactly the response that I expected from everybody, which was, "Are you sure it was really a date?" And then I like told you what they were, and you were like, "That's totally a date!"
Don't you hate it when you're in a public toilet and something has gone horribly wrong in the cubicle that you're in, but you've sort of not really noticed until after the fact?
What the fuck are you talking about? Something's gone wrong.
I'm talking skid marks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about. Just
Yeah.
like you're just sitting there going,
Or
"Oh
like-
my god."
Or like a floater or something along those lines.
Yep.
And it wasn't you, it totally wasn't you.
Oh, okay.
Right? But you wouldn't know so much, but in girls' toilets there's often a big queue. And so you come out of that toilet and you're just like, "Oh my god, they're going to totally think it was me."
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, I have a slight method, but it's quite crap.
What's that?
I just go, "Oh, it's not flushing properly," and then no one goes near it.
Yeah, that's
And
true,
it
because they
takes
know
the
what that
whole-
means.
Yeah,
exactly.
it takes the
That's
whole
great.
toilet out of action for like,
Because anyone just goes,
well, you've at least got the escape time. So that no one, you've got like washing the hands and you can see the whole line going, "Oh, there's something wrong with that one. We're not going in."
Exactly. They see you washing your hands with huge amounts of soap
You're like,
as well.
"Ew, that wasn't a nice
That's
one."
really good, because I would have done the joke. I would have just had to go, just to be like, "That wasn't me. That
Yeah.
wasn't me." Like
But
that.
then it's sort of that whole, whatever, he who says it did it, there's no
Denied
rhyme
it,
for
supplied it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I had the weirdest one actually the other day at work, because oddly enough,
And hello to everyone that works for them. She did the bad shit.
no, it was nothing to do with shit.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
funny thing.
Yeah.
It was a seed pod in the toilet bowl. A brown,
seed pod?
like a pod that seeds fly out of in springtime. Like brown seed pod, but it looked like a shit.
Do you mean like a gum nut?
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I don't
someone
know.
shat a gum nut. Really? Did you tell your boyfriend you were going out with me that night? Did you tell your boyfriend that we went out the previous week, and we went out and sat on the river and talked about this and that, and then went and had coffee late at night, and then saw a movie and blah blah blah? Like, it's one of those things where you just know, there's nothing, no point.
Yeah, it just crawled up my butt crack.
Really?